The late 1960s in California were turbulent years, marked by political protests, the Vietnam War, and the counterculture movement. But amid all the chaos, another shadow was forming, one that terrified the residents of Northern California and would leave a legacy of fear and mystery that endures to this day. He called himself the Zodiac. The story begins on December 20th, 1968, on a lonely stretch of Lake Herman Road near Vallejo, California. Two teenagers, David Faraday, 17, and Betty Lou Jensen, 16, were on their first date. They never made it home. A motorist discovered their bodies. David shot once in the head. Betty Lou shot 5 times in the back as she fled. Investigators were stunned. There was no robbery, no assault, no clear motive. Just cold, calculated murder. Only 7 months later, on July 4th, 1969, another couple, Darlene Ferrin and Michael Mageau, were parked in a lover's lane in Vallejo. Suddenly, a man approached with a flashlight, then opened fire with a 9mm Luger. Darlene was killed. Michael survived with serious injuries. Within minutes, the Vallejo Police Department received a chilling phone call. A man calmly confessed to the shooting and claimed responsibility for the murders on Lake Herman Road. The caller's voice was measured, deliberate, an executioner announcing his work. Then, in August 1969, the nightmare escalated. Newspapers across the Bay Area received handwritten letters from someone calling himself the Zodiac. The letters contained cryptic ciphers, demands for front-page publication, and a boastful declaration, "I like killing people because it is so much fun." 3 newspapers published the coded messages as demanded, sparking a frenzy among the public. Families gathered around kitchen tables trying to solve the cryptograms. Days later, a high school teacher and his wife cracked the first cipher. It revealed a disturbing message. The killer claimed that by murdering others, he would collect slaves for the afterlife. The Zodiac quickly became more than a killer. He became a phantom presence, taunting police, ridiculing journalists, and feeding the public's terror. In September 1969, another brutal attack shocked the Bay Area. Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard were relaxing by Lake Berryessa when a hooded man approached. His black costume bore a white crosshair symbol, the mark of the Zodiac. He bound them with rope and stabbed them repeatedly. Brian survived. Cecilia, despite her desperate struggle, died from her wounds. Before leaving, the killer scrawled a message on Brian's car door, listing the dates of his previous murders and signing it with the now infamous crosshair symbol. Weeks later, on October 11, 1969, San Francisco cab driver Paul Stein picked up a passenger in the city's theater district. The ride ended with Stein shot in the head. Unlike the earlier attacks on couples, this was different, urban, bold, and reckless. Yet once again, the killer escaped. Witnesses described a stocky white male, glasses on his face, calmly walking away. Police responded within minutes but failed to stop him. Later, the Zodiac mailed a piece of Paul Stine's bloody shirt to the San Francisco Chronicle, proving he was the killer. By this point, California was paralyzed with fear. Parents kept children indoors, couples avoided secluded areas, and every cryptic letter deepened the sense that the Zodiac was always watching. The Zodiac's taunts grew bolder as the investigation stumbled. He sent dozens of letters, sometimes including new ciphers, at other times mocking police incompetence. "School children make nice targets," he once threatened, hinting that he might attack a school bus. Panic spread, and police escorted buses in the Bay Area for weeks. Despite massive media attention, detectives struggled. Multiple law enforcement agencies, Vallejo Police, Napa County, San Francisco Police, and the California State Department of Justice, were involved. But their lack of coordination allowed the Zodiac to slip through the cracks. One of the most haunting aspects of the case was the mystery of his identity. Composite sketches suggested a man in his 30s to 40s, stocky build, glasses, and military-style crew cut. Some investigators believed he was highly intelligent, possibly with cryptography or military training. Others thought he was simply a sadist who relished attention. A major suspect soon emerged: Arthur Lee Allen, a convicted child molester and Vallejo resident. Allen fit many aspects of the profile. He owned a Zodiac brand wristwatch with the same crosshair logo. He lived near some crime scenes. He was known to have violent fantasies. Police searched his home, finding disturbing writings and weapons. Yet, despite circumstantial evidence, no definitive link could be made. Handwriting experts concluded Allen's script did not match Zodiac's letters. Fingerprints and DNA samples from envelopes and stamps excluded him. Still, many investigators remained convinced he was the prime suspect until his death in 1992. Other suspects surfaced over the decades: Richard Gaikowski, a journalist; Rick Marshall, a movie projectionist; Lawrence Kane, a Navy veteran with brain injuries. Each seemed promising, yet none could be tied conclusively to the murders. Meanwhile, the Zodiac continued sending cryptic messages. Some ciphers remain unsolved even today, fueling speculation. In December 2020, an international team of code breakers finally cracked one of the infamous ciphers, known as the 340 cipher. It did not reveal his name, but it reaffirmed his contempt for authorities. "I hope you are having lots of fun in trying to catch me. I am not afraid of the gas chamber." By the mid-1970s, the Zodiac's confirmed activity dwindled. Letters became sporadic, and murders attributed to him lacked conclusive evidence. Some experts argue that he may have died, been imprisoned for unrelated crimes, or simply stopped killing. Others believe he continued anonymously. What is undeniable is the cultural impact. The Zodiac case terrified Californians, but it also reshaped modern crime reporting. His direct communication with newspapers blurred the line between journalism and law enforcement. He forced police to play on his stage, at his pace, always one step ahead. For survivors like Michael Mageau and Brian Hartnell, the horror never faded. Both lived with the trauma of being face-to-face with a killer who seemed to embody pure randomness. Families of the victims, like those of Betty Lou Jensen and Darlene Ferrin, endured decades of unanswered questions. Despite thousands of tips, mountains of evidence, and countless theories, the Zodiac's true identity remained elusive. More than 50 years have passed since the first murders, yet the Zodiac case remains one of America's most notorious unsolved mysteries. For investigators, journalists, and amateur sleuths, the Zodiac is both an obsession and a riddle. The investigation officially remains open in several jurisdictions. The FBI has kept records active, though in recent years, local departments such as Vallejo and San Francisco have taken the lead. Advances in forensic science, particularly DNA analysis, offer new hope. Genetic genealogy, which recently solved cold cases like the Golden State Killer, has been applied to Zodiac letters and stamps. However, degraded samples and questions about chain of custody have so far prevented a definitive breakthrough. In 2021, a group of independent investigators calling themselves the Case Breakers claimed to have identified the Zodiac as Gary Francis Post, a man with a violent history who died in 2018. They pointed to alleged photographic and forensic evidence. Yet, law enforcement agencies have not confirmed this claim, and skepticism remains strong. The true name of the Zodiac continues to hang in the air, just out of reach. Beyond the police files, the Zodiac has become a cultural icon of evil. His story has inspired books, films, documentaries, and endless theories on the internet. The 2007 film Zodiac, directed by David Fincher, introduced a new generation to the case, meticulously depicting the fear and obsession that haunted investigators. For the public, the crosshair symbol has become synonymous with mystery and menace. But behind the myth are real people, innocent victims whose lives were cut short. David Faraday, Betty Lou Jensen, Darlene Ferrin, Cecilia Shepard, Paul Stein. Their families still wait for closure. The Zodiac's reign of terror was not about money, not even revenge. It was about control, an anonymous figure who manipulated fear, using the media as his weapon. He showed the world how a single individual, hidden in the shadows, could paralyze entire cities. As time passes, the chances of unmasking him grow smaller. Witnesses die, evidence deteriorates, memories fade. Yet hope persists. Perhaps one day a final clue will surface, and the name behind the Zodiac will be revealed. Until then, he remains an enduring phantom of American true crime. This was True Crime Vault Stories. Stay safe and stay curious.